This is our last week together. This is week 4. Week 4 is kind of bringing it all together, but stepping up your APA to the point where you will actually be doing your own writing of content based on research that you've done, some of the work from last week, okay? But you have seen those exemplars. Now it's time for you to practice writing in APA using resources you found, following something from your mind map, so you are having an organization to it, and we're trying to connect all the dots from your learning in the last 3 weeks. I would also suggest, if you've not received any feedback on your mind map, hold off on creating and submitting some of these assignments because you really need that feedback to improve. All right, so this week especially is looking, we are building what you need to do and know for the last week, for week 8. So when you get in week 8, remember, flashback to week 4 and start looking at your things that you have here and lean into what you've been taught, so those things become habit and they become actual tools and support for you as you move forward. All right, there are a couple videos that I've added here. One is DOIs and URLs, and this is a video of it's a video from last week, from Tuesday night, that optional instructional session. So I have created these as being 2 different videos. The first one, DOIs and URLs, when to use them, when not. This is all supplementary content. So if you aren't sure about using DOIs and URLs, please look at this. I think it'll really help. And it will help you know how to find a DOI. That's the thing that researchers don't consider, is that they have to find a DOI. They want the DOI to be shown in a database, in a Google Scholar, in a published reference list, but not all of the time will that be accurate. You will not see it in many places. That doesn't mean one doesn't exist, so you will need to be the investigator on that to identify the DOI status. And then the last thing there, the search alerts and databases. This is an incredible tool that databases provide, where you, if you have generated a good search strategy that has brought up content you're interested in, even if you have multiple search strategies that are perhaps searching different research questions, you can create individual alerts. What that means is the database, when something new is published in their database and it goes live, if it matches your search criteria, they will email you a link to that article. You set up in the alert, you set up time, how often you want the alert, provide your email. It is so helpful. You can stop it whenever you want. You can cancel it. I mean, they're just so helpful, the alerts. But that, once again, it's another tool for you. We, of course, have our great North Point Community Church devotionals here. This week, we also have a post quiz. So please, take the post quiz. The data from the pre-test showed that the high for this cohort was 100, the low was a 40, and the average APA pre-quiz was an 80, a score of 80. So there is room to improve. the assignment, copyright, and the dissertation. This is an assignment that you must really follow the directions. And you'll see here in red, it's done in red intentionally to trigger in your head, you must use a guide point. This is not a paper, an assignment that is your thoughts on copyright. No, you are going to look at this article by Cruz, which is linked right here, and you're going to go to page 17 of the article and choose one of the 9 guide points, which are right here: context, embedded media, quantity, size and resolution, licensed material, permissions, realistic markets, orphan works, and citing sources. One of those points is going to be the focus of your copyright assignment here, okay? So now that you've chosen your point, you've read the Cruz article, and it talks about applying the 4 factors of fair use. Learn about that specifically. There's a link to it here on the EDD research guide, 4 factors of fair use. Then you are going to research using the library databases, and I've given you one here, Library Literature Full Text or Google Scholar. These 2 are the best ones for this topic. You're researching not copyright, but you're researching, for instance, embedded media and copyright, or licensed materials and copyright, okay? And once again, it says scholarly, so we're talking about they need to be peer-reviewed. So you're going to organize your assignment paper in this fashion. You have 4 sections. What is the copyright concern? That comes from this guide point. So if you chose embedded media, what is the concern? Why is this a copyright issue, embedded media? And explain that and reference the source, right? The second section, how does this guide point connect or impact doctoral research or dissertation research? Third, what are the ways you can mitigate this threat or concerns? So how do you mitigate the concern about violating copyright for embedded media or realistic markets, or etc.? And lastly, in what way will this change the way you research and write? So just, what have you learned, in other words, from this that you can apply and take moving forward? Copyright is not a one and done. Copyright is something that is integrated in so many things, whether it is using music for a video that you're doing that you're going to send to your school for your kids. That is copyrighted, the video. It's learning about those things, as well as whatever you're doing in business, creating things. Are you violating copyright at all? And learning a tool called the 4 factors of fair use that will help you mitigate some of those concerns, okay? So this is a discussion post. So your discussion post is going to have 4 sections, right? And you're going to write about them. Each section should probably be cited in some way. You're not going to be using personal pronouns. This is academic writing, so we want you to be aware that, it's the guide point chosen for this post, not I chose the guide point. Remember, in doctoral writing, whether it's coursework or dissertation, if you are told you have a reflection or an opinion, then you are using your personal pronouns. Otherwise, you're not using them, okay? So this is part of that learning. So it's a 300-word discussion post. So use these questions in number 3 to frame your post, respond, cite your research. And so because you got research, every post is going to include a references list, which will be APA 7 formatting. And you know what that means, okay? All right. So this is due by day 3. Day 3, right? It's due day 3. Your initial post. That means you got to start kind of on the front end, researching this. You'll have 2 response posts that are due day 5, a minimum of 200 words and supported by 1 source. Okay. The last assignment for my part of this course is called Citing Work in Text, APA 7th edition. This is one that you have got to follow the instructions, okay? So this is learning about works in text. You will have a template here. I'm going to open that template. Follow this template. Don't copy it. In other words, you're going to put the date, your name here, okay? Your topic. You have these elements that you're going to be using. You're going to paraphrase from 1 source, paraphrase a statement shared by 2, paraphrase information from 2 or more sources. Many of you talked about that in your reflections from the compare and contrast, how surprised you were to see more than 1 source cited at the end of a paraphrased section. This is what it's talking about. Then you will do a short quotation and a block or long quotation and include your references. So this is how it ought to look. And let me go back to here. You're going to begin, if you read the instructions, you're going to choose 2 sources from your reference chain, okay? And you'll see the 5 sources here. You'll write an example in narrative and in parenthetical style. The academic writer in-text citation tutorial you can go through very quickly, but it's a good place to show you and pull out where these things may be linked in the APA manual. This is important to hear. This is not fake. You're not just going to copy and paste stuff in. This is sort of, look at this as a draft of what you will write in week 8, which is part of the historical perspective section, okay? So you're going to actually have 2 articles that are related to each other that you can actually pull content from. This activity assignment takes a lot of time. If you know it's not something that you want to really wait until Tuesday night to start working on, because it will be evident. But anyway, reach out to me with meetings if you'd like. Shoot me an email if we need to talk about this assignment. I will be scheduling, and you're going to see that here in Blackboard, a Teams meeting where I'm going to discuss this assignment in more detail. Okay, so that will be this coming Tuesday, which is, I don't actually know, but it will be this coming Tuesday night probably at 6:30. Then you still have time to complete what you need to for Tuesday if you need that time. Okay. See you in Blackboard.